Hello everyone, this is Alex Pop from Romania and welcome to another chess video. Last time I analyzed the games and I saw a little mistake which should be, it's a bit embarrassing. Yeah, the game with Daniel, it didn't finish well for me. So it wasn't 1-0, alright, I lost badly. Whoops, my mistake. Um, this is This should be part 2 where I analyze the game. So last time we managed to analyze this one. And now we're going to see 2 more games with black. So let's get to it. So again I played this Najdorf, and it seems in that tournament people were playing this line extensively. Here h6 is a good enough idea, as I recall. h6 all the time is in the air. h6, and then you could either play knight d7 or not. Depends. I played knight on d7 immediately. Played bishop d3. Here g4 also is some idea. I played b5, rook e1, bishop b7, and again this here again this should be one move, but he takes, and here I'm not necessarily forced to take on b5. I could also play castles, but it's already ugly. If I play castles, I think this is already lost. So castles, I take e5, and yeah, I think it's already getting to an advantage with white. So we're not. So all in all, I still don't know what the good line here is. So it's not knight h5. There's also this move of castling queenside, but it looks suspicious. Let's put it like that. And also it kind of weakens. So I think it's by inaccuracy is before. I think I should have. So queen c7, castles, and knight d7 here, and then here I should have played h6. So all in all, this might be. So for bishop d3, h6, and here you have ideas of g5 and knight e5, knight. So here h6 and g5. You should remember this idea. Or castles. It appears also stockfish is still not. But as I know, g5 is the move to be made. Right? I played this, and here after a3 I should at least be well enough, but it's still not easy. Because after h6 he takes, I take, and he can always take on b5. And if I play castles, it's still the same issue. e5, and I still haven't gained that much. Right? So I wouldn't like to play h6 here. But if I'm forced to play h6, it means that the entire line might be suspicious. Like this. So that's why one way we could have detected the error is here h6 should have been played. But it takes, I take it, h6 before. So instead of b5, h6. This is how you would, or knight c5, ideas like these, right? Because otherwise it's already bad enough. This one's already worse. So h6, yeah, again h6 might have been better, because after knight c5 I'm completely lost. Yeah, so this might have been my last chance, because after knight c5 he could have won immediately with e5, or bishop takes on f6 and then take on b5. And so he played king b1, which is a bit meek. He should have just played e5 and it's game over for me. Yeah, now I played h6, which is not good. I should have played castles, but castles again is not the type of move you would make easily. I played h6 and now I am completely losing after bishop takes on f6. But he didn't play it. And now I was thinking of this idea and I didn't. But I should have played castles. Because now he's running out of attack. He doesn't have that well of an attack. I have always knight h5. And I'm starting to have ideas of my own. So I played g5, which was not needed. And here I played rook g8. And I took. And here again I botched up the position. I should have just taken immediately. It won me a bit of a few tempos. And already, if he doesn't exchange, I can at least play for an advantage. Before, try to attack. So I'm starting to have ideas of my own. The way that I played knight g4 and then I took, I thought I will always have knight e5, but I'm losing tempos. Right. And here I play knight f6, so this is what I'm saying, I lost the move. I should have played here rook d8 immediately. I play knight f6, and here he could have taken on d6 and it would have been bad enough. He played knight b3 and after knight e4 it's at least I'm starting to have ideas and taking a pawn. But I should have played either b4. I think b4 would have been a bit better. No, but actually I'm more... Yeah, this is the type of position where Stockfish is looking either for something clear for white. Oops. Yeah. So what I played, knight e4 might be good enough. Because he could have taken with a rook. That's interesting. And then knight a5. Because the way he took, I took with the bishop and all is good. I'm fine. He played rook c1 and now I'm up a pawn. And this is the funny part. I played e5, thinking I'm caging this bishop, and he took on e5. And he took with the rook. I took on b3, thinking it's game over, and he played queen d6. And here I had a complete blackout. I did not see. So first of all here I couldn't just play king f8 immediately and I'm up a piece. So this gives you an idea that this whole position is wrong for white. And here also I had king f8. And if it takes, I have king g7. And again, I am up a piece. So I completely missed this idea. I completely forgot. It's like I was seeing mates everywhere. Oops. And I took on c2. And again, here I did not see king f8. Should have played that. I played queen e6 and game over immediately. Right, so that was a bad mistake on my part. And now, load the next game. Yeah, this was against another player. Again I got the black and I got the London position, and here I misplayed it a bit, because if he plays like this with bishop d3, I have to be careful how I think c5 is a bit better, because if he takes, I have queen a5, queen takes c5, and then b6. Because after I played b6, I'm not sure who is tricking whom, because yeah, he played c4, and here I was feeling tricked that if I play c5 now, it is not good enough. He'll play d5. That's why here I think the theory is d6. d6, castles, then c5. And I always have this option. He can't play c4 anytime. So yeah, I think d6 should have been played. Normal move. Because the way I played b6, c4, bishop. Yeah, I got in a sense a normal position, but it's sketchy. Also, yeah, here c5 would have been good enough. And then d6. And I'm starting to have ideas of knight h5. So why can't I play knight h5 immediately? Yeah, knight h5. I'm threatening the bishop and threatening the pawn. Ah, because he has bishop e5. Right, so here we have d6 and then we're threatening that, so he has to defend. And we're getting a sort of delayed Benoni. We're playing either for e6, either for b5. Yeah, so this is how I should have played c5 here, but I didn't. I played here knight, and here already knight. I'm still not sure which are the good moves here. h6 is one possible move. Queen e8 I think is a bit better because I'm gonna play e5 immediately. So queen e8 I think would be some of, or rook e8 might also be. Knight h5 was good enough because he played this, and here I think I'll leave it like that because knight h5 is a good enough move. He played bishop g5, and after queen, here I had h6, and it would have been easy, at least interesting. I can always take on g5. It starts to resemble a Trompowsky, if I'm not mistaken. There's a line in Trompowsky with this line: d4 here, here, right, e4, h6, take, take, right? And if I'm not mistaken, there's a line with d6, bishop c4, g5, stuff like this, or g6. And afterwards, black is playing on the king side and has easy play. But yeah, this is a bit, we're going on a tangent. The most important here is that after, so I played queen e8, should have played h6 and then e6. So, yeah, and here he went completely off with bishop e2, e5, normal move, and then he played rook f e1, and suddenly the knight on f3 has no squares, but I did not see it. I could play already e4, and it's game over because he can't move on e1, g1, d2, anywhere. He has to play on h4 and then simply h6, and you can't place the bishop anywhere. I'm playing g5 next move. So already he's losing a piece. But I didn't see it. And to mess it up even further, I didn't see even h6. I think even h6 wins. Right? Because if he plays this, his knight is trapped. So the way I played, so e4 I think would have been the cleanest. I'll leave it like that. Delete variation. He played bishop here, and again I did not see e4, and I take a piece. I played g5, which funnily enough spoils everything. He had bishop d3 and it's game over. My ideas don't work anymore because now I can't play e4, and if I take the bishop he'll just take here and then bishop g6, and it's again he's recapturing. So bishop d3 would have been nasty for me. That's why before we had e4 and the knight is trapped. I didn't see it immediately, but then I saw it and wait a minute, where's the knight going? Nowhere. And I played it like that, right? So let's save it. And the final game, which was played against Virgil Kiheri. At this time I played with white, and I tried, yeah, and I botched up my own my own ideas. Here I want to play knight c3 first. Knight c3 in a sense that I'm taking out the line with knight on f6, and in a sense, I'm forcing myself afterwards to play knight f3. But again, these are just details. Now, yeah, knight c3 and then d4, and here, this was my idea. Some Romanians already know my idea with g3. I just want to impose a certain position, a certain typical position. So I want to obtain this position anytime against all Sicilians. Right, so I'll play bishop g2, castles, and then I'll play a game. Hopefully I'm imposing the positions that I want. Right, so and here this is what I get. Instead of studying long lines against the Sicilian, I would have this typical position. Now, here you have to know at least what you're doing, and I'm not. The only way I could learn here would be to study games or to play games, which I'm doing right now. And here I already messed it up a bit. I should have played queen e2, if I'm not mistaken, or something similar to queen e2. I think actually rook here is not needed. So if I'm not mistaken, I could play f4, and if he plays knight c6, then I take. He takes, right? And and here I have this idea of knight a4, which is interesting. But again, it's a debatable line. What you can see here is that I'm forcing a certain position. I can always play bishop e3. So in this type of position, my king is safe and I can play moves, normal moves. Yeah, so bishop e3 might have been better. Or queen e2. I think even queen e2 might have been, yeah, queen e2 with the idea of a4 and rook d1. So I'll delete this variation. Yeah, and on knight c on e2. There are loads of ideas that can be played here. So this is just a normal position, if you will. Yeah, so queen e2 might have been a better idea. Yeah, and here I played a4, which is not necessarily good. Queen e2 might have been better. Again, with ideas of knight takes e6 or just staying still. Bishop e3, rook d1. I played here a4, which is not helping me at all. He played knight c6, and here I thought bishop e3 is good enough, but it's, as I find out in the game, it's not. So knight b3 might be a better move. I played this and I played queen e2. I thought we are just wasting moves, the both of us, because now I'm playing b3 with tempo, and I get my bishop on b2. But this whole sequence is a bit off, because now my c2 pawn is weak. I took, which is, I think, the first inaccuracy. I'm not exactly sure what. I could have played the rook e on d1 or knight a2. Now, knight a2 is a strange move. Or knight f3, and I think knight f3 is the easiest I can comprehend at this point. But Stockfish, he can play knight f5 anyway. So there's also this idea of knight takes on c6, which I did. Bishop takes, rook a d1, and it's already equal. Yeah, so this is the whole problem. And so from the start, I think, and if you play knight on a2, I'm not exactly sure. He takes, I take. Right, we're already getting into the territory of which inaccuracy is. I'm not sure by analysis now in the short time frame which is the small mistake. And during the game you would miss it anyway. So this is where discussions might appear. regarding the method of analysis, how you would do them. Because you can see certain lines, Stockfish has an idea, you wait long enough, we put some moves, and he changes the idea. Right, so knight to f3 might be a good enough, but then he changes it to something else, and you can be, or you can be rook e on d1 or rook a on d1. I think rook a on d1 is most normal looking move. Rook a on d1, and again, white has all his pieces into play. And all, yeah, rook a d1, and everything goes as normal. But I played knight takes on c6, and afterwards this move, and now I play d5, which is completely misses the point of all my play. Here I could have played bishop a3 or knight a2. So again, I imposed my typical position. This is how I think, yeah, knight a2 would have been one idea, and then knight to b4, or sit still. It's, or bishop to a3. This is the sort of ideas you should have in this position. I didn't, so I played e5, which is bad enough, and here I took on c6, which is even worse. Yeah, so I had to take on d8, he takes, I take on e5 with a strange position, but good enough. I played this way, and now already my queen is not well placed and I'm weak on the white squares. He played bishop d6, which missed a bit his advantage. He could have played h6 or something similar. And now he played this, and I had this exchanging maneuver. I don't think I have anything else, right? And now, yeah, here I already missed. I did my first miss. I should have taken on e4 with a typical endgame. Right, I have a pawn majority on the queen side, and it might be interesting. So at least I have something to play for. This is the type of ending you would want. I played knight to e3 thinking it's the same. He played here, and then I played queen to c4. And this, in a sense, is not that good for me, because I thought that b5 is not allowed. Not allowed in the sense that it gives me it makes it easier for me to exchange the pawns. But he played it anyway. I took, it took, knight e3, and then he took on e3. And here I was shocked because I thought this ending is winning. So I was prepared here to win very fast. And some ideas there are. Right, c4. The point is that now his pawns are on black squares, and I can make a passed pawn on the queen side, and he is forced to wait. So he played d5 and bishop d2, and now I have a slightly better ending, but it's still a draw. And here we entered in time trouble, neutral in time trouble, and somehow he lost on time. He managed to create also a passed pawn, g6, cf5, but this was the game. And again, we have the inaccuracies, right? We saved the game, and now we can start adding them. So first off, we go with games black, and again, that game with Daniel, I did not win. I lost badly, just to be clear. Alright, so we do not mistake it. And okay, this line with Najdorf I have to improve upon, because I was lost in 2 games. I was completely lost from the opening. But this is how you learn, by making small adjustments. Right, so what so first things first here, right, we do them new position, paste fen, h6, save, and again new position here, copy, new position, fen, h6, bishop h4, g5, black. Right, and again new, here, h6 would have been better. So I'm not gonna go through the lines again. The idea is that now it's a bit too little too late. So after h6 he can take on f6, which is not particularly nice, and here you don't want to take on b5 because you're completely lost. So castles, and this is a position that, as far as I can see, I'm playing for survival with black. But it would have been better than getting a lost position. So this is why h6 might have been better. h6, bishop takes, and yeah, some people maybe already know it as theory, so I'm just learning now. I'm just finding out now. And again, a3 was a bit of a miss, and I can't use it. So here again, a f6 takes, bishop takes, and castles. But this is again not something you would want with black. Yeah, h6. Here I could have played castles, which would have been much better. Right, castles, black. And again here, castles. Right. And then here I should have taken on d3. So I played knight g4, which was not necessary. So I had to play here, paste, take, queen c4. Easy peasy, when you know the ideas, or when you've been through them. Yeah, because now I lost a tempo. And here, again, copy, new game, paste. I should have played rook d8. Much better. I didn't, and now here what I played was good enough. But here, I completely lost my mind. I saw a piece, I took it, but here I had to play king f8. And it's all over for white. Because there are no more ideas and I have bishop bishop pair. Right, I didn't play this. I took another piece, he played queen d6, and now again I had king f8. King f8, easy peasy, and all is good. I didn't see it. So, I took here and then again. Here I had king f8, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, king f8, and now he has a draw. Queen h6, and if I go here, he goes on. If I go back, queen d6, right? But I had to play it, king f8. So I didn't see this move. I completely lost the thread here. I did not see that I can play king and f8. I thought I'm losing everything, but I'm not. So yeah, this is what happens when you forget. And so this is a typical error that I make. And now, this was one game. Yeah, save it. Now the second game, we will get the errors. So here, first things first, d6 had to be played. So d6, and then c5, and it's a normal position for black, right? Here again, I should have played c5, with ideas of getting into a Benoni. If you get into a Benoni, the knight on d2 is not sitting that well, the bishop on f4 is not doing that much, so it's a strange Benoni. You can also have ideas of a Benko gambit if you would play something like this, but they're not necessary at this point. The idea is to focus on either play d6 and knight h5, focus on the long diagonal, right? So I played d6, which was not that well. It should have played right c5. We save, we go through them. And here h6 might have been better. h6, g5, e6. Right? And now, after this blunder by white, here I had e4. I did not see this simple idea. Happens. So this is again e4, I take the knight. Because if he plays this, I have h6. And it's all over. I always have, and if he plays this, I take. And he loses a piece. Right? So it's easy when you know the idea and you're tactically alert. But what can you do? Again, I had this idea of 4 and it wins immediately. Yeah, I think I'm making now a small blunder, but yeah, I'll correct it. Because I'm adding those lines to the same file, and that is not good, because I'll have to delete them. But in any case, I played, yeah, I should have played e4 and it's all good. Right, so this is what I've missed, and now load. Yeah, before I do this, I'll have to delete the games that I have in the games that I have in white, the games that I added, because when I will import the lines, I don't want to import these ones because I already did them. Remove, yes. And for black, I did them until where we finished the analysis. Yeah, okay, so we were before here, and now, yeah, I think now this is where, so this was the, yeah, this is where I left the last game, and so we'll delete these, yes, and now we can focus. When we will import the PGN, we will import correctly only these positions. And now let us add these lines. So first things first, I'll have to remember. If I'm going to play this idea, I would rather play knight on c3, because now you don't have knight on f6. This is the first line that I'm avoiding. So knight f6, now I have e5, and you're losing a tempo. So why knight c3? Because everything you will play, I will play knight on f3 almost. So if you play knight c6, knight f3, and now my idea is to play d4. And you can imagine it this way. He can play also the Najdorf, right? And I'm going to force this g3 variation in all the lines, except for the Sveshnikov and well, the anti-Sveshnikov, this line. But considering that I'm playing the 4 knights, so I have this repertoire, right? I have e4, e5, knight f3, and then knight c3, and then bishop b5. So if I have this repertoire, if he plays for knight c3, if he plays knight c6, I'm gonna play knight f3, and if he plays e5, I'm already in a 4 knights. But again, I'm playing bishop c4 here, not bishop b5. But this is the idea. I'm forcing my own positions that I would rather want. And if he plays Taimanov, fine by me. I'm going to play this d4 line anyway, and then g3. Like so, Taimanov, we can play g3. Najdorf, we can play g3. Taimanov Khan, we can play Taimanov Khan, which is this one, which was played in a game, right? So a6, d4, take, take. Queen c7, g3. So I can play this g3 line against at least the Najdorf, Rauser. I can play it also against the Rauser. So if he plays knight c6, right, knight f3, d6, d4, take, take. Here I could play g3, which is a good enough line, right? And also against the dragon. So if he plays the dragon, d4, takes, takes, g6, g3. So this is what I would want, to force this g3 line against everything, except for the Sveshnikov and the 4 knights. But with knight c3, I'm eliminating a lot of lines and making sure I'm playing the correct ones. So this is why I would say knight c3 would be my first move, my first choice. But knight f3 is the normal move. e6, knight c3. Now I can, of course, I can play d4 here, which d4 would be a normal move. But I got angry that I didn't play knight c3 before. So d4 here, c takes, knight takes at a6. Now you have the option of c4, right? And how's the line? Knight f6, knight c3, queen c7, queen d3. It was that interesting line introduced by Carlsen against Anand, right? But for the moment, by my standards, by the way that I'm choosing the positions, knight c3 is a good enough move. And now we transpose to what I want, and now I played g3. And this is the type of position that I'm comfortable with at the moment. Yeah, bishop b4 doesn't do anything. I play knight, bishop d2. And now I'm forcing this type of positions. Now, of course, I'm not necessarily looking for an advantage, but imposing I am imposing my typical positions. I am getting, alright, I'm getting castled. And there's no way black can trick me in these lines. He can play whatever he wants, but he will not be able to win on the spot. Now, if he plays better positionally, well, he will beat me if he plays better than me positionally. But this is the chess game then that we want. We have a starting position and then we can move on. Right? And here queen e2 is a bit better. So let's start adding these lines because this is what we want. Right? So new game. Copy. We have to copy here. So I'm doing this for myself. So this is why here I will have to remember to play knight c3. Right? New game. Right? And here I'll have to remember queen e2 is a much better move. Queen e2. Paste fen. So queen e2. Game's white. Right? New. And this way we can view very fast my inaccuracies, my errors. Right? Paste fen and then again queen e2 is viewed as much better. Knight c6 and here knight b3 would have been better. So here knight b3. Oh, don't need it. Yeah, there should be some games here. Yeah, all in all, this entire line, white